The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Get ready to dive into the comic book realm where heroes rise and villains take the helm. We're here to dissect the stories and the art. Our source material, we tear the panels apart. Welcome to the source material show now. We don't hold back, we won't let you down. From Batman to Spider-Man, it's all fair game. We talk about the heroes, the villains, and everything in between. Oh yeah.
Wowzers, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Source Material Comics Podcast.
We won't hold back.
We won't let you down either until someone doesn't read a 64-page comic that happens to be featured in the background right now. But don't worry, I've read the rest of them. Mark Radulich is sitting right over there. And again, I'm Jesse Starcher. We're going to be diving into some Incredible Hulk books tonight. And specifically, these are taking place after or during, I should say, and a bit after World War Hulk.
Yeah, it's kind of both. And what we're really talking about is the Incredible Hercules, the Complete Collection, Volume 1, which is at least 1/3 the Incredible Hulk leading into and taking place at the same time as World War Hulk. And then they started a new book with Hulk elsewhere doing a different thing. I think I think when the Incredible Hulk turns into the Incredible Hercules, they take a break with him for a while and then they restart with him. And I can't remember which adjective they use, but it's something else where basically they let him out of prison so that he can be an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, oh my goodness, Agent of Smash or something? I can't remember the name of the storyline.
I'll look it up really quick, but yeah, it's so there was a period of time where I was reading just only like Hulk comics. So I was reading Hulk, which was the Red Hulk, which is, General Ross. And then I was reading everything that basically went from Planet Hulk to World War Hulk to the Hulk as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And at the end of that, he gets shot in the head.
Oh, is this where Hawkeye puts him down? Okay.
And then they restart him in a new book where he's Doc Smash or something like that. Basically, he's a super intelligent. He's not the professor. That's way early. That's when I was in high school. This is post 2000. And this version of the Hulk, the entire book is they save him from getting shot in the head by using the Iron Man thing from Iron Man 3.
Extremis.
By giving him the Extremis, and that turns him into like Dr. Smarty Hulk. I can't remember the actual name of it, but that entire run is him de-hulking everyone. Like he turns Rick Jones back to being human again from Atom Smasher or whatever the fuck name he was called. A-Bomb, that's what it was. And he basically depowers. Yeah, he depowers General Ross. He depowers Betty, who was the Red She-Hulk at the time. He depowers a couple of other people, and then the only one he leaves with powers is She-Hulk, and that ran right into Time Runs Out.
Okay.
Which then led into Secret Wars, which was the two pizzas being smashed together.
Oh, the pizzas.
You remember the pizzas?
I do remember the pizzas, as a matter of fact.
So that's my quick and dirty rendition of what I believe was the Hulk from this period to Secret Wars. And the period that we're focusing on right now is the early 2000s, contemporary and post World War Hulk run, and we're specifically focusing on the transition from Hulk to Hercules, and then after the next source material, we'll do the complete collection of the Incredible Hercules Volume 2, where they got rid of Hercules.
Okay.
They fired him and sent him away.
You are fired. I want to I want to say here real quick that let's try it again. I want to say it, but I can't. I think that you did World War Hulk while I was on hiatus, if I remember correctly.
Hey, real quick, it's the Indestructible Hulk.
Indestructible. Okay. All right. Do you remember doing World War Hulk while I was on a hiatus? And no, I wasn't on hiatus. This is when my dad passed away. This is the one that I had to duck out, and you had to bring in Chris Bailey to kind of take my place. So I didn't get a chance to talk World War Hulk with you. But that is something that is covered in the source material archives, where you guys did, I think it was like 6 issues, if I remember right, 5 issues of World War Hulk. So that is something that, and I think I've read it before as well. Like, I knew that shit was going down. I wanted to see Hulk versus Black Bolt and what he was going to do to the rest of the heroes. But I was not reading this, so that's a definite. This was fun to actually kind of catch up on some of the stuff that was going on the side and in the main title, I guess.
Doc Green is, by the way, the name of the Hulk, where he is the Hulk with the extremis.
Gotcha.
And that is Hulk Volume 3.
Okay. All right. So tonight we're going to do we're going to split this into 3 parts, just like normal here. We're going to try and do you have the trade there in front of you by chance?
I do. My girlfriend was nice enough to put it on my desk after I was done reading it this morning.
Very good.
Yep.
Did
you hate me after I made you read this once you realized how big of reading assignment this was going to be after you told me stop doing things like this?
Well, I started early. I knew how after I asked you. Well, what was funny was I originally started reading the Incredible Hercules.
Yeah.
And then I went and I looked and I was like, oh, there's a bunch of Incredible Hulk leading up to Incredible Hercules. So I did like all of the Incredible Hercules up to 120, whatever this ends. I think it's 120. So I read all those, and then I had to go back and catch up on what was happened previous, which is good because it kind of laid the groundwork. I should have read that first, but it was a lot. And I still didn't get to read everything, as I mentioned there earlier. But
if I
yes, I was going to ask you, could you tell them what the issues are?
I will, but let me preface it by saying, so it wasn't contemporaneous because I was reading this, I think, around the time that Lily was born. So between births of children and my accepting of the fact that fatherhood means you have to be home and raise your children, I took on some hobbies and some old things that I used to do so that I would have things to do in the house because, and you know this as well as I do, having 3 children yourself, infants are not all that interesting. They need care, they need time, they need attention. They are not going to get up and dance for you.
Yeah.
So you kind of need shit to do in the house because you can't really leave all that much, but they also don't need a lot of attending to once you have attended to them. Like once you fed them and burped them and changed them out of their Frenchy dirty bums, their Frenchy dirty diapers, it's kind of like you're just kind of stuck in the house. And I guess most people would like to just watch TV, but I'm like, no, I have all this free time on my hands. I'm going to go back to doing some of the other things that I enjoy doing. So I started reading comics, and I didn't want to be like I did when I was in high school, where I tried to read the whole comics. I don't know, you know this about me, Jesse, but I can't just do one thing. I got to do everything.
Oh yeah, sure.
Trying to break that habit. I was like, I'm just going to pick one character and follow that one character. I had no idea when I took on the Hulk back in 2011, 2012, around the time my daughter was born, how convoluted this Hulk stories had gotten. So, like, I hadn't read up to that point Planet Hulk. I hadn't read World War Hulk, but a lot of that stuff kept getting referenced. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start with I'm going to start with the prelude to Planet Hulk, and I'm going to read all the way through. So I read the entire Planet Hulk trade, and then Planet Hulk immediately goes into World War Hulk. And at that point, I was reading the individual issues of Incredible Hulk. And you know this because we did one episode on some of the issues that I read. This was Agents of Smash.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what you're talking about. So the trade paperback where he goes to the Savage Lands, that's half that, and then half Agents of Smash. That's in that run of Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
And I remember, and this is where I brought this up, because I remember like I was following everything that was happening with the Hulk right up until it turned into Incredible Hercules, and then I was like, I don't want to read this anymore. So I stopped.
Okay. All right.
And that's kind of what led to me buying the trade. Was now I'm interested. I want to know, like, what's a Hercules book look like? I know, I'll read the Hercules books that's what the Hulk turned into, because I had stopped reading at that point.
Right.
And like even this so I'll read you now. This is Incredible Hulk 2000, 106 to 112. I'm not sure I ever read those. Like I know I read it up to a point. Like I remember the Agents of Smash stuff. I remember the Savage Land. I remember him chasing Red She-Hulk around like a lovesick puppy. You know, I remember a lot of that stuff, but I don't remember any of the Incredible Hulk stuff that was ancillary to World War Hulk.
Yeah. Did you remember or run into Amadeus Cho at all?
Yeah, he's all over the Hulk comics.
Okay. All right.
And I was one of the 5 people who also read the Totally Awesome Hulk.
Okay. One of the 5.
Yes. I was one of the people who gave Korean Hulk a chance. But so this is Incredible Hulk 2000, 106 to 112. Incredible Hercules 113 to 120. I know for a fact I didn't read those. Hulk vs. Hercules When Titans Collide, and Material from Giant Size Hulk 2006, number 1. Amazing Fantasy 2004, number 15, and Incredible Hulk 2000, number 100. The weird thing about this, and I'll give you back your show, is I'm telling you, like, I know I was reading Hulk that was in and around the stuff involving Planet Hulk and World War Hulk. But I'm remembering this period where he, like I said, Betty is the Red She-Hulk. He's chasing her around. She gets mixed up with one of his villains and, like, you know, leaves him to go run off with the bad boy, as all girls do. And like the Savage Land stuff. And I can't, but the timeline doesn't make sense to me anymore. Because I thought it went Planet Hulk right into World War Hulk right into the Indestructible Hulk. So I'm like, when did he have time to be James Bond and go to the Savage Land? But it must have happened because I remember reading it. And it's funny, I actually like went through my old Kindle because I thought I'd saved these issues, but who knows? It was so long ago, and you know, it was a whole life ago. Like I don't remember anymore. I'd have to sit with ChatGPT and try to figure out what the timelines are. But anyway, that's the long and protracted timeline of how I got to Incredible Hercules.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, just from what I'm seeing here, looks like you said it was 106 to 112, and then Incredible Hercules 113
to 120.
To 120. And yeah, I think and tell me if this is correct, but the Hulk versus Hercules When Titans Collide, does that take place? Do you remember if that was positioned in between World War Hulk issues and then going into Incredible Hercules? It looks like, just from what I'm seeing here, there was a lot of like backstory where Hulk and Hercules are. It opens up with Hercules at the UCWF, you know, fighting the Thing or something, and it's a wrestling league.
Well, I'll tell you, it was written by Greg Pak, so I'm going to take a wild guess that it was contemporaneous.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and get into our first part here. And I will post edit throw something in here about Hulk versus Hercules. If you think of anything off the top of your head, feel free. But let's talk about let's see which issues am I focusing on here. I think this one, our first part's going to be from the flashback in Giant Size Hulk #1. We get a few stories here that you said were pieces kind of thrown in there. There is
did a better job of that than Batman, Murderer, and Fugitive.
yeah, this stuff means something to the story.
Yeah.
So our first part we're going to talk about is Green Pieces, which was in Giant Size Hulk #1. Then there was Mastermind Excello, which focuses on Amadeus Cho. Amazing Fantasy #15. This is obviously a newer rendition, I think, of Amazing Fantasy. And then there was Planet Cho from the Incredible Hulk #100. And then we go from right into the Incredible Hulk issues, which is 106 to 108. So I'm just going to go ahead and start reading some things here. You follow along with me here.
Okay, I'm also going to try to straighten myself out while you're doing that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to throw some things at you, so be ready.
Okay.
So before we even get into Incredible Hercules, we've got to ask a pretty big question right out of the gate. Has the Marvel Universe been getting the Hulk wrong this whole time? Because we kick things off with this moment where the champions, this is the flashback issue, Hercules, Angel, Black Widow, the whole squad, they roll up on Hulk thinking he's on full rampage mode, and they don't hesitate. They just go. They attack. They do, what they think heroes need to do. They need to attack the Hulk because he's just going crazy.
Yeah.
But then you find out the Hulk's not rampaging. He's actually trying to save Jennifer Walters, his cousin. He's trying to get her to the hospital. So first thing I want to throw to you here. I mean, how many times do you think like this kind of thing has happened with the Hulk? It's quite a bit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it absolutely has happened. The Hulk is the Hulk is purposely one of the more misunderstood. I'm talking about in continuity, like in story, he's one of the more misunderstood heroes. And it's really funny that Greg Pak and whatever other writers tackled this really did key in on a key aspect of the Hulk. And kind of Amadeus Cho is the one that's voicing it. He's basically saying, like, at his core, Hulk is a hero, but because he looks big and scary and people knee-jerk react to him, they end up setting him off. And it's kind of almost like a gaslighting situation where, oh no, this big and scary monster is going to destroy everything, attack him. Then the big and scary monster, who wasn't attacking anything, goes and starts destroying things. And they're like,
attacking things.
Right. Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
And Amadeus Cho's like, just leave him alone.
Right.
Amadeus Cho's timing couldn't have been worse. Because any other time, I think you could make that pitch, but after Meek, and Hulk doesn't know that at the time, after Meek blows up the spaceship, I mean, Hulk's already kind of pissed that after being an Avenger, a Defender, a champion, after being a part of different teams, after being, saving the world countless times, the Illuminati up and decided, you know what? Let's just kick you off the planet.
Right.
And we're so good and we're so smart. And I think I talked about this when we discussed Planet Hulk the first time. It's like we're so smart and we're so good and we're so perfect that we have dotted every I, we have crossed every T, we have solved every variable, and they don't account for something knocking him off course. And so he doesn't land on, big perfect utopia planet with nobody that he can harm and just animals. Like the animals don't have rights or anything. There's nothing on there, but game and vegetables and and the fucking animals. It's just like, do we not matter?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Poor space deer. Just like, we don't want this. Anyway, that's not what happens though. He lands on Sakaar, and we all know what happens after that. So when Meek, so he's already annoyed about this, and then of course he goes through the whole Planet Hulk storyline. Finally, he finds peace yet again because he's. The Hulk's had girlfriends before. He's had Jarella, he's had people who saw beneath the grizzly green veneer, and then something always happens, just like Batman. You wonder like why I gravitate towards these two characters. The Hulk can never be happy. So, devoid of that, if Amadeus Cho's like, "Hey, Shield, Tony, I have an idea. Why don't we create this plot of desert land?" And it's basically like they did with New Asgard. Like this is a small little country, kind of, Hulk's just there, and everyone just leaves him alone, and nobody can get in.
Right.
You might have been able to sell that before Hulk lost his queen, and he thinks it's the Illuminati that did it.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, he's just like, "I'm not agreeing for you to put me in a game preserve.
Yeah.
I want to kill the people who hurt me."
Yeah, we're a little past that now.
Yeah,
we're a little past just leave me alone, because you guys did not leave me alone.
Right. But that's kind of, you were asking, do people misunderstand the Hulk? And I said, yeah. I mean, if Captain America looked like the Hulk, nobody would listen to him either. It's really a classic case of like Richard Nixon and Spiro Agnew.
Okay.
When you have a name like Spiro Agnew, no one's listening to you. No one's voting for you. Everyone thinks you sound like a rotten vegetable. However, Dick Nixon, Richard Nixon, that's a strong sounding name. That guy gets to be president. Now, is he taking all the ideas from Spiro Agnew? Yes. But does Spiro Agnew get to be president? No. So Captain America, who's caused just as much destruction as the Hulk, they all have. Iron Man, Thor. If you want actually a better one-to-one comparison, Thor would probably be it.
Oh, yeah.
The line from Civil War, which I always thought was funny, when Ross is like, "Does anyone know where the Hulk or Thor are right now?" He's like, "You want me to give you guys total autonomy? You don't know where the two largest, nuclear weapons are. You just lost them because they're people. They happen to be in space, but regardless. My point is, like, it's a case with Hulk of you look scary, therefore you are scary, therefore we don't trust you and have to do anything about you. What you're actually doing doesn't, or what you have done, your record doesn't matter."
Mm-hmm.
And Amadeus Cho keeps trying to point that out. He's like, he's done all of these wonderful things, and every excuse and every event that where Hulk has like destroyed things, they were like mind control, drugged. Something happened that set him off. You fucking started it. Like, if you think about, and this will be the last thing, I'll let you back into your own podcast. If you think about like the early history of the Hulk, it was they were testing a weapon. Banner ran onto the missile site to save Rick Jones, got turned into the Hulk, and then the military is like, "Well, we can't just let you wander around. You're a military asset." And the human being inside of this large monster is like, "But I'm not. I'm a human." And the military is like, "You kind of are, though." It's like when you're in the actual military and they're like, for the 2 years you're in the military, we own your ass. You belong to us.
Yeah.
And Banner's like, "I didn't agree to the service. Sorry. Me scientist, no soldier."
Right.
And the army's like, it's not how this works. It's one of those where when you start to think about like the history of the Hulk, a lot of stuff does make sense, but it's more complicated than it gets credit for.
Yeah. Well, so talking about Amadeus Cho, I mean, what do you think about this character here? He's almost kind of like this Rick Jones analog, where he's a young kid. He's kind of like one of the ones that, and Rick Jones does make an appearance in this story. He kind of gets the Hulk, and it's interesting to see him be the one that is like, he sees the Hulk as being failed by the system. I mean, your thoughts on Amadeus Cho?
I'll get to that in a second, so I can answer this guy if he's still listening. I was talking to Jesse about this. We've covered it on source material. One of my favorite things with Hulk is the spy who smashed me.
Oh, yeah.
When Hulk is operating, this is before Indestructible Hulk, but he's operating as basically a spy, and he's kind of doing a play on James Bond. And Red She-Hulk is kind of the Bond girl of those comics. That to me is like perfect Hulk. I'm actually, again, one of the 5 people who really liked an Indestructible Hulk.
Mine's got to be Future Imperfect.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's right up my alley anyway. I love how they tell that story and how some crazy stuff happens. Just how does the Hulk get to that point? You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to break my younger self's neck. So that's a good one. But anyway, go ahead. Amadeus Cho.
Amadeus Cho is interesting. He's definitely like a younger boy's power fantasy. I'm the smartest person in the world, but I'm impetuous and I lack maturity. So I just finished watching Young Sheldon, and Young Sheldon is a really great illustration of somebody who has the genius of the smartest man on earth, but is still developmentally a child. And the way they wrote Young Sheldon was he's kind of like a 50-year-old man. And it's so funny because I was talking to my girlfriend about my son. My son's really, really smart. He's in all gifted classes. He's a straight A student. He's kind of nerdy, but he's also kind of me. So he's like nerdy, but he has a really terrible attitude. But he's also still kind of his own person. I was just kind of goofing on him tonight because we were talking about something, or we were at Burger King, and I was like, oh, they don't have the tablets that you can order food in like McDonald's and Taco Bell do. And I was like, I'm annoyed about that because I don't want to have to talk to a person. And both him and his sister just laid into me about how, as Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they kind of miss human interaction. They don't like where the world is going. A lot of kids their age are saying the same thing. They don't like the amount of technology that's getting in between people. And I'm Gen X and I fucking hate people. So I'm like, more technology, please.
I don't know if it's a generational thing. I think it's more of an age thing. That's my opinion, but
maybe.
I mean, when they turn 40, when they turn 50.
Yeah. When enough of life has burned the energy out of them.
Exactly.
they too will no longer want to talk to people.
They are young.
So, but he has made some comments to where now I've decided that he is a Christian fundamentalist who wants to live in a theocracy because I exaggerate. So that became a joke today with him. But anyway, why I was talking about him with my girlfriend was there are times when Jonas is like a 60-year-old man, and then there are very much times he is exactly his age. He is a 12-year-old boy. Watching him eat steak with no silverware at Longhorns, for example, and me having to tell him, son, use silverware. You're nodding. You seem to have some inkling of what I'm talking about with your own children, I'm guessing.
Sure.
Like, for the love of God, cut your meat. Like you start to question your own parenting. Like, I know I went over this with him. So, and I said to her, I was just like, I'm in no rush for him to grow up and be an actual 60-year-old man. So all the way back to Amadeus Cho. Amadeus Cho is my son, Young Sheldon. He's this really incredibly smart person who does not have the maturity and wisdom of an adult man. So there was a TikTok I saw recently where a lot of our political philosophy right now is 12-year-old boy. And they were talking specifically about President Trump, but there were other things happening, and then the TikTok was saying, if you look at how politically we're dealing with this subject, it's totally 12-year-old boy. If you look at how we're dealing with this, it's 12-year-old boy. That's Amadeus Cho. Amadeus Cho has got this really great mathematical mind, and he's able to do all kinds of hacking wizardry and stuff, but it meets with his lack of maturity. Right. That's my impression of Amadeus Cho. I don't remember enough about Totally Awesome Hulk to give you an answer. Like, they kept him going as that. But I think the Amadeus Cho character is a lot more interesting than Rick Jones because Amadeus Cho can actually do things. But
he also believes in the Hulk. I think.
So did Rick Jones.
Rick was not. I think he was fearful of the Hulk a lot, and Amadeus Cho was not fearful of the Hulk.
He was guilt-ridden, is what he was.
Yeah.
Banner saved his life and turned into the Hulk, and then from that point on, Banner's life was ruined. So Rick Jones is fucking Chewbacca, essentially. Like, I have a life debt.
Life debt. Yeah.
That's not the same as Amadeus Cho. Amadeus Cho looks at Hulk and does the math and goes, he's not as bad as everyone's making him out to be, and I'm going to use my smarts to do that. Later on in the book, and this is kind of the best part of the book for me, later on in the book, when he's like, I'm going to systematically destroy S.H.I.E.L.D. because I can.
Yep. He believes they killed his family. So he has a vendetta, and he's tired of them tailing him because they want to acquire him for some type of, just to basically use his brain. But
right. But as men, as adult men, because that's what men do. As adult men, we temper some of that with age and maturity and wisdom and just development.
Right.
Theoretically, some of us do, not everyone. He doesn't have that yet. So a child put in that position, because childhood development is, you are very self-centered, and that's supposed to be tempered with parenting, mentorship, structure, and then eventually age development. By the time you get to your teenagerhoods, a lot of your self-centeredness should have been eroded away. And you should know how to operate in the world as part of things, not as a self-centered individual. But when you're a baby, and when you're a toddler, and when you're an adolescent, you're absolutely developmentally the center of the universe. That's how it's supposed to go. And so his reaction to S.H.I.E.L.D., is in line with his development, but it's like giving a monkey a machine gun.
Right. Yeah. I did like, our backstories that we get here with Amadeus, like trying to figure out where the Hulk went and then putting things together, that Reed and the Illuminati sent his ass into space. And he was the one that also figured out that the Hulk is not where they expected to put him. Or they expected him to land. He went off course and ended up on Sakaar. And then that's where Amadeus is like, he's coming back. At some point, he will be coming back. I want you guys to understand that, this is going to happen. And of course, Reed and Tony are freaking out at that point.
Can I tell you my second favorite part of the book? My first favorite is Hercules talking Amadeus Cho off the edge. I sent you the page. I was like, this is the bbest part of the book. Right. It's him telling him, like, don't do this. Don't, be better. I actually had to have that conversation with my kids recently. I'm like, don't be me. Be better than me. Like, I'm a halfway decent guy, but I could use some work. Be better. Don't aim for me. So when Hercules kind of gives Amadeus Cho that speech, to one extent or another, that's good stuff. That made the whole book worth reading for me. The second thing is when when the Hulk is talking to the Warbound. And they're all naming off the amount of times the Avengers or other Marvel heroes have completely fucked them and their entire species. I laughed my ass off at it. Like, hey, and it destroyed my world too.
Yeah.
Because it's such a perspective change. It's a definite reminder that one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist.
Yep.
And so, because we are humans, and these books are written by humans, and so the heroes of these books are the people that look like us. The villains are the people that are, it's like pro wrestling. It's the Americans are the good guys, the Iranians, the Russians, the Chinese, the Indians. It doesn't matter. They're all the bad guys, right? Same thing here, except that they're all people too.
Yeah.
And they had homes and they had families, and they're all like, son of a bitch. It's some pretty good writing on the part of Greg Pak.
Yeah. I'll read this here and just keep that in mind, what you're talking about, because the next question I'm going to ask you is it kind of falls in line with what you're talking about there. But yeah, going into World War Hulk in our first few issues, everything just really escalates fast. Obviously, Hulk is on his way back. He's coming back to Earth. He's angry, like, next level angry, no turning back angry. Cho's putting together this unlikely group. So he's got Hercules, he's got Angel, he's got Namora. And they're trying to figure out, like, okay, we know he's coming back. We know he's mad. Can we stop him? Is there any way that we can, talk to him or reach him before this turns into total destruction? But some people, even in that group themselves, they're kind of not exactly on the same page as to, like, is Hulk worth saving. Look at what he's done. I think Angel was definitely one of the more dissenting voices of like, hey, this guy tends to be, look at everything that he's done. The Hulk can be considered a monster, but Amadeus Cho's not having any of that. But then we get the big moment where Hercules kind of steps up to the Hulk. And I love this in this book. He's not an Avenger, he's not a hero trying to stop him. He's someone that kind of extends his hand and says, I get it. I understand what you're going through. And the Hulk just starts beating him. And, the Hulk is like so angry. And all Hercules is doing is like extending his hand out to him. And he's like, I can't remember. Let us help you, I think is what he kept saying. Let us help you. Let us help you. And hopefully the Hulk will listen. And then what ends up happening, other people start showing up, like regular citizens who got on the boat to go over and watch Hulk tear shit up because they believed in them. So just, off from that, with the Hulk being a representative of what people are looking for, and all his rage, what do you think of like the Hulk being a symbol there for these people?
For the Warbound, you mean?
Not for the Warbound, but for the regular citizens that just came to be like, it was a very...
Oh, you're talking about in the book where like these are the what do you call it?
The downtrodden, these people that are like conspiracy theorists, or
I was the ones that lost their homes. I'm trying to think of the word they used.
Oh gosh, I cannot remember either. There was a term that they were using, but there's a point where Hercules,
refugees.
There's a point where Hercules and Angel and Cho are going to go and try and meet the Hulk. And this is where Hercules extends his hand and is like, let us help you. But they also run into a bunch of people, specifically one of which is Goliath's nephew. Now, Goliath was killed in Civil War by, I think it was Reed Richards' Thor clone. So anyway, he blames obviously the heroes. So it's not just him, but there's like a bunch of other people that look to Hulk to be this.
But you're making almost a brilliant point, and the book makes this point too. Because Amadeus Cho says this out loud. It's like, you guys got a lot of nerve wanting to kick the Hulk off this planet and trap the Hulk and imprison the Hulk. You're all responsible for Civil War, where Goliath got shot and all this other destruction happened. I mean, how many times have the Avengers been just as responsible for wholesale destruction as the Hulk? How many times have the Fantastic Four fucked it all up?
Right.
How many times has the Thing, who is the Rock version of the Hulk, with a Jewish Brooklyn accent, been destructive? I think it's interesting to me that the Hulk is incidentally a comment on intelligence or perceived intelligence, because the Hulk kind of comes across as a dummy. He speaks, depending on which iteration of the Hulk we're talking about, like monosymbolically. He speaks like Mongo. Me Hulk smash, me Hulk no like. And even that, they've changed that over the years. There was a period where him and Banner were fused, and he was the Professor. But there's been very few times where he's been like the Savage Hulk, where there's no humanity to him. He's just like, I remember there was this cartoon where they separated Banner from the Hulk, and then they sent the Savage Hulk to Asgard, and it was like he was bringing about Ragnarok.
I think I remember this. This was Hulk versus Thor, I believe, And
the whole idea was, without the civilizing influence of Banner, Hulk is just a bomb. He's a tank. So I like the idea of like every single one of the superheroes up to the most recent Civil War has been responsible for death and destruction, and you only keep wanting to condemn the Hulk.
Right.
I think about a couple of years back, I think when something came out. Maybe it was the Fan 4 stick. We did the Trial of Reed Richards storyline.
Oh yeah.
Trial of Reed Richards trial is
That's
Galactus.
been a while.
Yeah, but it's one of the few examples where they really lay at Reed Richards' feet how your decision making has unintended consequences, no matter how smart you think you are. But it took a galactic council to put him on trial. He certainly doesn't have that problem on Earth. You know,
Right,
why?
right.
Because Reed Richards,
He's the savior.
yeah, Reed Richards is the smartest guy on Earth, and Hulk is a half a dummy.
Right.
But when they've caused the same amount of destruction, everyone makes excuses for Reed Richards, and everyone wants to imprison the Hulk. And that's kind of the point that the book is making through Amadeus Cho. And by showing all these people like standing up for the Hulk, is people kind of coming to realize that there's a great hypocrisy in how the Hulk gets treated versus all the other superpowered humans who are just as destructive, if not more.
Right. The as we come to the end of the part one here, so
when you're ready to move on to something else, I have something I want to read to you.
Okay. Just real quick, last question. I mean, as we're getting to the end of this first part, is this about stopping the Hulk or is it about saving him?
For Amadeus Cho is about depends on which character you're talking about. For Amadeus Cho is about saving him. For everybody else, it was about stopping him. But
Hercules, Amadeus Cho and his band. I think Hercules has skin in this game though, because we learn a lot about him and about his past and about how he was also thought a monster after what he did to his own family. And Hercules definitely is, I feel like, on the saving side. Like he just wants him to be understood, and that will stop him from making a mistake. But anyway, go ahead.
The whole time I'm reading the Incredible Hercules, especially the part that focuses on Hercules, I just kept thinking of your song. He smote him and again, and he smote him again, and he smote him again.
Right in the face.
Anyway, yeah, I think Hercules sees a lot of himself in the Hulk and how he's been treated as people treat the Hulk. Hercules has the benefit of being human looking and handsome. The Hulk is a scary green monster. Right.
All right. Well, you said you had something you wanted to read here before we get into part two.
Yeah. I asked Google Gemini to lay out the timeline with issues from Planet Hulk to Time Runs Out and Secret Wars.
Okay.
So phase 1 is the Greg Pak era, the rise and fall. Planet Hulk. Incredible Hulk 92 to 105. Hulk is exiled to Sakaar. World War Hulk, issues 1 through 5. Hulk returns to Earth for revenge. The Hercules years. Incredible Hercules 113 to 141. The main book is renamed to focus on Hercules.
That's a long period of time, too. When you're looking at that, that's like probably 2 years.
Yep. That's a whole other graphic novel we have to read.
Right.
The Red Hulk Mystery is Hulk Volume 2, just Hulk, 1 to 24. And that series is by Jeff Loeb, and that introduces the Red Hulk. General Ross. The return to core numbering. Incredible Hulk 600 to 611. The series resumes its original legacy numbering. Incredible Hulks, plural, 612 to 635 is where the Spy Who Smashed Me arc, 626 to 629 happens there.
Okay.
Phase 2, the modern shift. Incredible Hulk Volume 3, 1 through 15. Jason Aaron's run, where Banner and Hulk are physically separated. I fucking love this series, by the way. This was fantastic. This is the one where it starts where the Hulk is just living his life. He's just fucking living his best life. And this is the one where I wanted the panel of him, and he's like roasting a moose in one panel, and another panel he's roasting a shark. I want that art on my wall. But this is the one where Banner is doing an Isle of Dr. Moreau thing where he's trying to figure out how to get reintegrated with the Hulk because he's losing his mind.
Oh, okay.
So there's that. Indestructible Hulk is Mark Waid. This is the Industrial Era Hulk works for S.H.I.E.L.D. Hulk Volume 3 is the Omega Hulk. That's 1 through 16. That's Jerry Duggan. Takes over. Hulk develops the Doc Green persona and begins depowering of the Gamma mutants. Phase 3, the end of everything. Time runs out. This event spans the Avengers and New Avengers by Jonathan Hickman. During this time, Doc Green joins the Illuminati to help deal with the collapsing multiverse. And then Secret Wars 2015 1 through 9, The Final Collision of Earths. While there is a 2015
Pizza.
Yep, yes, the pizzas. The 2015 Planet Hulk miniseries is an alternate reality story set on Battleworld rather than a direct sequel to the original. The Omega Hulk arc is technically the final solo story for Bruce Banner before the universe resets and Amadeus Cho takes over as the totally awesome Hulk.
Totally awesome Hulk.
So, yeah, that doesn't necessarily help me with the timeline, with where he is and, you know, when he's doing the Spy Who Smashed Me versus when he's the Indestructible Hulk, but I don't care at this point.
Okay. All right. So our next one, like I said, I might put some stuff in here post edit because I feel like Hulk versus Hercules falls in between where Incredible Hulk ends and Incredible Hercules picks up.
Yeah, for a show and a book that's supposed to be dealing with Hercules, we're certainly talking a lot about the Hulk.
Yeah. So, all right. 109, Incredible Hulk 109, 110, 111, 112. And then it's going to be Incredible. Well, Hercules takes over 113. Is that what it was again?
Yep.
Okay. All the way up to, so I did 6 issues a piece. So we got to be doing like 109 to 115 here. So we're going to definitely get into a bit of Incredible Hercules in this little bit. So I'll just start reading here. So we're coming out of everything we just talked about. It feels like, you know, we're coming up to a turning point because now Hulk has gone from misunderstood to something a lot bigger and a lot scarier. We pick up with the Hulk seeing regular people actually supporting him, people looking at him saying, yeah, that's us, angry, ignored, pushed around.
Awfully prescient, isn't it?
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Go on.
Now, at first, Hulk, like I said, Hulk pauses, but he ends up actually kind of rejecting it. He doesn't want to be their symbol. You know, he doesn't want to have followers. You know, he
came back to murder the puny humans.
Right. Right. That was his shtick. But you know, regardless, you know, some of the people there are trying to treat him like one anyway. Now he's in a very different situation. He's actually been captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. And instead of throwing him in a cell and forgetting about him, they start to put him to work. They've got him helping the people of New Jersey who were displaced during Hulk's rampage. So that's like the first thing they say.
That's what I was thinking about before when you were talking about like the people following the Hulk.
Right. Yeah. They threw him and they first were like, okay, you know, this is your hero. We want you to at least make it up to these poor people of New Jersey and, you know, design something to try and help us out and help us maintain and get these people at least some place to live, which he does that. But yeah. Go ahead.
This is where I got to give Marvel a lot of credit. Because a lot of times with comic books, both in Marvel and DC, there's no thought about what the effect of all this destruction is on regular people, because this is a medium meant to be read by children, and they're not really thinking about geopolitical or, you know, psychosocial consequences of the Avengers.
Right.
But because this is the 2000s, and by this point, there's a tacit recognition by both Marvel and DC that, yes, there are a certain amount of adolescents reading these things, but your bigger audience is middle-aged men. And while middle-aged men also probably aren't really thinking about the consequences of the little people, if you put it in there, you'll have a much richer story and something to, you know, and something for some of these people who hopefully have fully developed adult brains to latch onto beside he threw his shield and a hammer and smashed a bunch of stuff. So I like that there's moments of the book that really do deal with, like, every time one of you gets into a fucking fight, you know, in this city and you destroy buildings, that's X amount of people out of a home. You know, think of it that way. Like if you lived in a place where every week there was an earthquake, a typhoon, a tornado, and a COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Like you would never be able to own anything. You would never be able to build anything. You would be in constant fucking fight or flight mode from the PTSD. You know, like the whole concept of civilization is you make roots, you form connections, you build a culture and a society, and on top of that, you build invention and art, and you expand, and then eventually you go to the moon. Well, if you can't do that, if every week something's fucking destroying it,
Right.
that's the whole point of that section of the book.
Yeah. And totally off topic here, but just I really want to get you to listen to a show that's going to be airing soon. We are going to be talking Astro City, the first 6 issues. And Astro City, I don't even know if that even means anything to you.
I assume it's where the Jetsons live.
Yeah. His boy Elroy. If you get an opportunity, and I would really love for you to do this, there's going to be 2 episodes, I think, that are just like 20 half hour, I think, a piece. But anyway, it's on Astro City, first 6 issues. I think that we come here a lot talking about the big 2, and I know a lot of times you like to kind of diverge from the big 2. Astro City is a Kurt Busiek does a great job of kind of giving you the idea of what it's like to live in a city if it was a realistically superheroes were everywhere. It's not as dark as The Boys. It is definitely more hopeful. It's definitely a little bit better. But anyway, get the opportunity. I think you would probably come out of that be like, oh, you know what? I might like to check out some Astro City, because I didn't think much of it. I've never read anything until we did it for the show. And yeah, I mean, just like you said, when you're dealing with this over and over, what would it be like to live in a city that is filled with superheroes and supervillains? It's very attuned to the humanity that deals with that over and over. So anyway, just a cheap plug. I'd love for you to check that out. Back to the book, though. Okay, so Cho's being put to work here. He does it. He helps S.H.I.E.L.D. out, at first, but he knows what's next. He knows they are going to put, again, his brain towards their next enemy. So we get out. He tries to figure out a way out of this thing, but not before S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of convinces him, and he also wants to do this, to go and infiltrate Hulk's arena. So Hulk is putting together an arena where all of the heroes are going to fight each other.
The members of the Illuminati that got rid of him.
Well, I think when you look at the people that are chained up, Black Panther's there, I'm pretty sure. We saw Reed Richards, Iron Man's there. Go ahead.
Outside of Spider-Man, who you just mentioned, all those people are in the Illuminati.
That's what I was going to say. Spider-Man is there, and he's dressed in his black costume, if I remember correctly. But he's also got the obedience discs on him, and he's going to turn them, which we don't get that here. Maybe that happens in World War Hulk. I don't remember, but we don't see that. We just see that they're getting, he's building the arena, and he's got them captured. Reed Richards, by the way, looked like a piece of taffy, like stretched 20 times over. He was all wobbly stobbly. Anyway, so he's planning on putting them into fights here. So what are you thinking here? Just real quick, I want to get your opinion on what the Hulk is doing. And we know that Cho believes that you aren't going to kill people. But all this stuff that he is doing makes him not look so much unlike a villain, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on the Hulk here? Is he crossing the line? Is it justified?
I have a client that I work with, and every other week that I talk to her, that we do a session, is she wants justice for some slight, some wrong, some injustice that was perpetrated to her by any number of people that she knows. And every week I have to keep telling her that that's not realistic. The good guys don't always win. The bad guys don't always get punished. Justice isn't always meted out. Life is unfair. The sooner you embrace that, the happier you'll be. And the Hulk is that girl. The Hulk is like, this is what you did to me, so I'm doing it back to you because I have a child sense of justice. And that's pretty much. But that was I said, and I think I said that when we discussed World War Hulk. You know, that the difference between like what the Hulk does in World War Hulk and what Superman does in Injustice is Superman is like, maybe we've been going about this all wrong, and this is more of a I'm trying to think of like the characters from Jupiter's Legacy, or not so much Homelander, but these characters throughout different books, throughout different comic book stories, where I'm smart and I'm powerful and the world is unjust, and so I'll just fix it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't quite work out the way that they think it does, but that's kind of Superman's whole motivation in Injustice. Is we tried to do this the fair and equitable way, and it ended with me being gassed and killing my wife and blowing up my city. Well, there's got to be a better way, and his better way is 12-year-old boy. It's tyranny. I know best. And those that support him, like, you do know best, Superman. We're with you. Why not go back to might makes right, or divine right, or any number of sort of humans throughout history defaulting to dictatorships. It's listening to I am answering your question, I swear. I was listening to another one of my clients talk to me about how they were having a conversation, and they were like, our president does this, our president does that. This is all the ways it's making our lives miserable. And the person across from them is, I would vote for them a third time if I could. And they're like, but why? And here's the key thing, and the reason I brought this up. He's keeping us safe. I'm not here to debate the merit of that statement. I'm here to illuminate that idea that person believes. This person's keeping us safe, so I'm willing to sacrifice a whole host of human rights, a whole host of American rights to feel safe. It's 12-year-old boy thinking. And so back to the Hulk, and what do I think about this? I think Hulk is a 12-year-old boy. They used to talk about Hulk like he was a toddler in a giant monster's body, and by the time we get to Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, he's an adolescent boy, and he's handling his problems like an adolescent boy. You did this to me, I want the exact same thing to happen to you. Period. Yeah. It's hard for me as a reader to see anything else but that, and just sort of, is someone having sex in back of you on a squeaky bed?
That's the floor. Okay. People are walking upstairs in the kitchen.
Are you sure?
I've always wondered, I wonder if that comes through. I've certainly not. Nobody's ever said anything. Now they're dancing up there. So, all right.
The sexy dirty bomb.
The latest hits right here in the Mid Ohio Valley.
And Frenchie Dirty Bomb. They're all just fucking high stepping up there.
It's like the one spot too. Like, get off that spot, please.
Go to bed, Mindy. Go watch TikTok. Anyway, so now they're all like on it on purpose. Fuck that guy. Mom's gonna come through the floor.
Which he's gone through furniture before, so a floor would be next.
He's gonna be like fucking Chris and the guy. Hi, Dad. Go to your room, son. Anyway, back to it's hard for me to have a I guess a moral opinion of the Hulk when I see too much of his development as a character and a rationalization for his behavior. Now, if you're like, but do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think he's doing a bad thing or a good thing? I mean, personally, no, I don't think he's doing a good thing. I don't believe in might makes right. I don't believe in an eye for an eye.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm right there with you. I mean, when you see this, I understand he's upset. He's angry, and he wants to make the people that hurt him and who he believes killed his wife pay. He wants to make them pay. He wants to make them understand that what they did was wrong. It's
after a long line of this happening.
Right.
after Jarella, after Betty, and Cho makes that point. He was like, at what point does a rational person just not snap from all of this?
Right. And go ahead.
It's the story of Job. Only in this case, Job decides, instead of being a loyal servant to God, despite having everything taken from him because God is petulant, the Old Testament God, that is. The New Testament God's like on pot or whatever. He's
peace, man.
Yeah, he's chill hippie. But in the Old Testament, he was, he's the pastor from Footloose. But John Lithgow. That's
John Lithgow. Yes.
Yeah. But but it's the story of Job, and like the whole point is like not everybody passes the Job test. Mm-hmm. Certainly not the Hulk.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to kind of jump off of what you were talking about, how Cho, gets down and pushes the Hulk by reminding him of those things in order to prove one point. And it is, again, I didn't understand why Cho was doing this at first. He was provoking him, making him angry by making him realize what had been taken from him. And essentially just insulting the Hulk. But the whole point of that was just to get him so mad that he would potentially strike out. But Cho's belief, in order to show everybody that the Hulk was still good, is that the Hulk doesn't kill. And the Hulk gets, just enraged. He brings his hands up. He pounds both of them down, and he doesn't kill Cho. After saying all of those horrible things to the Hulk still doesn't kill him. All right. So he doesn't kill Cho, but just when it feels like he might be pulling back from the edge, everything starts to escalate again. Now here's where we get a little bit of a side story. We got Zom and Doctor Strange. Like, we pick up where Doctor Strange is getting his ass handed to him, and there's this demon Zom that gets unleashed. So we got demonic possession. We got the Hulkbuster armor happening here. The whole city's on the brink. And somehow Cho, right in the middle of it, he takes some risk. He's trusting people. He makes the calls. And he keeps things from completely unhinging. And so Cho's starting to become a hero. Hercules is a hero here. Cho is definitely the focus of this book. He's able to mathematically throw a pea and hit something and cause like a Rube Goldberg effect because he's got it all in his brain.
Just rolled my eyes at that.
Well, he's the 7th smartest person in the world.
Yes.
And then, as this most likely, this again is kind of after all this Zom stuff, Wong finally puts Zom back in the bottle, just like you do. The Hulk versus Sentry happens, which I know that's probably more prominently happening in World War Hulk book, but we definitely see the effects here where, essentially it's just these two beasts going at it, and it's power against power. And finally, at the end of this, the Hulk breaks. He's laying in a crater, and it's Bruce Banner. So, everything kind of like falls apart for the Hulk, and that's kind of that. Before or shortly after that, we get into the next couple issues, which are going to be Incredible Hercules. Once
an hour into this podcast.
Yeah, once Hulk is gone, now we're dealing with the aftermath. S.H.I.E.L.D. steps in. They want control. They want accountability. And suddenly Hercules, of all people, Amadeus Cho and Hercules are surrounded, and they're like, you guys have done some bad things. And Cho's like, let's fight them. And Hercules is like, I give up. He immediately surrenders.
Yeah.
Not because he's beaten. It's because he chooses to. He chooses to do this. That's where we kind of learn about his past, his own guilt, his mistakes that he's made. We talked a little bit about Hercules already, but as Hercules becomes more prominent in this story, we're getting ready to get into some of the more stuff that's focused on him. What are your thoughts about Hercules and some of the stuff that he's went through going up to this, and then just straight up like surrendering to S.H.I.E.L.D. and not giving a fight? He's growing, right?
Yeah, no, the surrendering to S.H.I.E.L.D. makes sense. Don't fight the cops, fight it in court.
Mm-hmm.
Give things a chance to work themselves out. Have some faith in the system that you'll have your day in court, so to speak. And and the thing of it is again, shifting from Hulk to Hercules. Hercules is a whole other different character. He was a longtime Avenger. He wasn't. No one's chasing Hercules and trying to put him in a box.
Right.
Everyone just sort of accepted him as like as the more fun version of Thor.
Yeah.
It's like if Thor was the more responsible, more serious God, God walking amongst men, Hercules is like his frat party buddy.
Right.
That's always how he's been written in the Avengers. He was like, I am a tank in the in the D&D party. I'm here to break stuff and drink wine and fuck bitches. That's Hercules. That's kind of why I wanted to read this.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's the Hercules we'd be getting.
So they're, kind of captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. I guess we're going to say that they've given up, but of course you're thinking, are they going to succumb to the system? Are they going to be just, complacent and everything? And then Ares shows up. He's part of the Avengers now. And Hercules is about tired of his shit. And then he decides, you know what? Me and Amadeus aren't sticking around here. So now the story shifts. There's no Hulk. There's no war. It's Hercules and Cho versus the system. Are you okay with that? I mean, obviously this is what you came to the dance for, right?
Well, what's funny about this is I didn't realize what this was when I picked it up. I just, I don't even think I bought it. I think I got it as a Christmas gift. And it was because that whole line of things, I read every single one of those books. That list of books that I read to you from Planet Hulk, The Time Runs Out, I read them all.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't read the Hercules stuff. So I wanted to read the Hercules stuff. I didn't realize that the Hercules stuff had so much of the Hulk in it.
I got you.
So it's not that I didn't like it because I like the Hulk character and it kind of filled in some blanks for me. But it's half the book.
Right.
Half the book deals with just the Hulk. Most of our conversation tonight has dealt with the Hulk. So I was hoping I would get dopey, fun, wine drinking, smoting Hercules, in misadventures. Boy, is that not what we got with this book.
Yeah. I mean, the next few steps as we close this second part out here, things start to get weird. I mean, there's Hydra blood that basically Hercules gets shot with. He starts to go crazy. He's hallucinating, seeing stuff that's happened in his past. He's reliving his trauma. He's losing control. Cho, by the way, is going in the opposite direction. He's cold. He's calculated. He's focused. He ends up finding some type of a hidden base. He starts making some moves. Then his dog gets hurt. And he snaps. His wolf.
He has a wolf.
His pup in tow. As I think it was said. He ends up I think the dog ends up getting its back broke because Black Widow kicks him in the back of the head, and Cho not the dog. Cho falls on the dog because he's carrying the dog in his jacket and breaks the dog's back. Now the dog's still alive, thank goodness, but boy, that shakes Cho and make him go, okay, I'm done with S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm done with all of this.
Remember when I was comparing Amadeus Cho to Sheldon? When you're the smartest person in the world and you fuck up bad, it hurts that much more. If you're a dummy and you fuck up, you'll kind of just go with it. But when you're when you should know better because you're so much smarter, but you don't because life throws you curveballs.
Right. I think a lot of it also has to do with inexperience.
Well, sure.
I mean, you have to make these choices as you grow up, and you're 12 years old. You may be the smartest kid in the room, but you haven't lived this experience.
A really great example of this, Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just go with the movies here because there's a really great bit in Civil War, the movie, where Spider-Man makes a reference. He's like, that old movie, The Empire Strikes Back. This is a gimmick they did one too many times, but that old movie, The Empire Strikes Back. And Steve's like, the fuck, Tony? How old is this kid?
Yeah.
He has no. children, and at 15 years old, you're still a child. Children have no business in essentially a war, in a battle. Just thinking about the Lord of the Rings bit where they're giving out swords to kids, and someone makes a comment that, oh my God, how old are they? like, when I think it's Pippin who or Merry, whichever one it is, and he's got a sword, and they're like commenting. They're like, no one's questioning the size of his heart, just the length of his reach. And they made a point of like, this is serious. Like, we understand you want to fight for those you love. That's certainly Marion's point. God, I'm getting the characters wrong. Eowyn, maybe. That's certainly her point that she makes, and they're like, "Great, he's fucking useless to us in battle." Was Aermir's point?
Right.
He's like, I can't have this midget with a sword that's
a liability.
Right. Like, this is serious shit here. This is men die. That's war for you. So going all the way back to Amadeus Cho and the dog, neither one of them belong there. But Amadeus Cho is, again, this is what happens when you give a boys power fantasy agency. When you're like, okay, you want to imagine yourself a hero because you're 12, you're 8, you're 9, you're 10, whatever, however old you are. You want to fight the good fight and you want to be heroic. Great, here's your sword, here's your shield. Have at it. And you can't lift the shield because it's too heavy. You can't lift the sword because it's too heavy. And and one good kick from the enemy and you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
You don't belong there.
Right.
But Amadeus Cho is a genius and he's an orphan, so he's inserting himself in there, and look, he gets a baby wolf killed or crippled. He fucked up a lot during World War Hulk, and he continued. Look at how much damage he was willing to inflict on S.H.I.E.L.D. before Hercules had to talk him out of it.
Yeah. I think when we end part 2 and get into part 3, part 2 is him like making the decision to unleash this cyber attack. Like he did make that decision, right? Like he did push the button, and then Hercules had to talk him down from doing more.
Yeah, he was about ready to let loose criminals from the negative zone.
Yeah, that was not a good job. So yeah, we're getting into from part 2 to part 3. You gotta use a bathroom or anything? You ready to finish this out?
No, go. Keep going. I've held it this long.
All right, here we go. Part 3. All right. So Cho.
Oh, the God Squad part. Oh my God.
Yeah, be ready. We're getting there.
Yeah,
we're getting there.
Where my eyes cross.
Yeah, and I knew it. I knew this would happen because it happened to me, and I was like, "There's no way Mark is going to enjoy this because I'm having a tough time." And this is Greg Pak still, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure he's still writing. I know I'm going to double check that and make sure.
I got it.
But I feel like he's still writing. But man,
it's Greg Pak and Fred Van Lente.
He had a vision what he wanted to do with this Hercules book, clearly, and he starts playing with the lore. Let me read this. All right. Okay. So global technovirus, S.H.I.E.L.D. systems collapsing, absolute chaos. Now we open the consequences.
Since you're reading.
Now we open with consequences hitting hard. Helicarriers dropping out of the sky. Prisons potentially opening up, as Mark Radulich alluded to there. Basically everything you don't want happening all at once, because Cho has decided that that's how S.H.I.E.L.D. should pay for what they've done. Now, in the middle of all that, you've got Hercules trying to pull him back. And when Mark gets back, I want his comments on that page that he sent me, if he hasn't already expressed why he sent that over. But Hercules is talking to Cho. He's trying to get him to, and this is great because a lot of the book up to this is Cho trying to be the voice of reason, and in regards to the Hulk, trying to talk his pals into understanding that the Hulk, he's mad, but he doesn't kill people. You got to believe in this guy. He's not a monster as much as he seems. Well, now Cho is starting to turn that leaf. And, he could be considered the bad guy. And now Hercules has the opportunity to try and talk him back. And that's what he does. He's not doing it by force. Hercules is not fighting Cho here. What's happening is Hercules is coming to him with honesty. Hercules admits something huge. He admits his greatest failure, which we learn about quite a few times here. The thing that's haunted him forever wasn't just the gods messing with him. So it wasn't Hera who, this was bad, but Hera, put this stuff in his head and made him get this insatiable bloodlust to where Hercules killed his own family. But he also realizes that he did lose control and it was him. So he is somewhat responsible for what happened to his own family, and he made a choice. So Hercules finally talks Cho down. Now, I want to give you the opportunity here, Mark, because you sent me the page. I can't remember if you've talked about it already. I feel like you didn't really go into too much detail, but you sent me the page and how Hercules was like trying to talk Cho out of doing this. I mean, how'd that hit for you?
Like I said, it's the best part of the book for me. It's a departure from what I know Hercules to be. It's, Hercules and Cho kind of form like a dad-son relationship where, Hercules is trying to mentor, as all good parents should, Amadeus Cho. He realizes like he's talented, but he doesn't have wisdom. And he's and as I said before, Cho has got a lot of adolescent anger. And rightfully so, given all things that happened to him. But that has to be channeled, kind of like Customato and Mike Tyson, a certain way, or you become self-destructive.
And it's interesting when you look at Hercules, you don't look at this guy and go, "Here's a guy that killed his family." That's not what you do. But he carries that, and he carries that with him, and it's like the thing that. It's a very, very dark part of his history. He uses that to kind of talk Cho down. But anyway, I interrupted you. Keep going.
Well, I think Hercules understanding where Cho is coming from and saying, be better than me, be better than what you're turning out to be. You have so much more potential. You have to let go of all this hate and anger. I mean, as stupid as it is, the one good thing about Lucas's writing was he took spot on philosophy and just gave it stupid language. So a lot of the stuff that Yoda says, fear leads to hate, hate leads to anger, anger leads to cocaine, cocaine leads to bitches, bitches lead to STDs. I think it's how it goes.
Sure.
I believe that. That's in the movie, right?
What was that book that caught fire in the tree? I'm sure. I'm sure that was probably lost in the fire.
I can't make out. Does that say bitches?
It's like half charred.
Anyway, he's not wrong though.
Right.
When Yoda was like, you see this so much. I named Star Wars. It was the first thing that came to my head, but you hear it in different movies and television shows. These ideas of like letting, hate burn so much that that's all that's left, or clinging too much to all of these like hyper negative emotions. They're important emotions to have. They're part of the human experience, but when that's all there is, that's no life at all.
Yeah.
And that's the point that Hercules is trying to make to Amadeus Cho. The reason why I say it's like the best part of the book for me is because I'm always looking for something deeper. I'm always looking for something, I'm always looking for meaning, because I don't want to do what people who don't read comics do, which is ascribe a mark of it's all silly. It's all silly, adolescent, juvenile, fantasy books for dumbbells. Like, that's not fair to Grant Morrison, to Greg Pak, to Garth Ennis, to any of the guys that we've covered on here, that they are capable and have written a lot of really, really good stuff. The fact that they chose this medium means we're gonna come down on some of the interesting things that they're trying to say. What's the Mark? The one that Evan doesn't like that you and I have done. No More Robots.
Mark Russell.
Mark Russell. Like, you know, you're telling me Mark Russell's not a bright guy with interesting things to say? That's ridiculous.
Right.
But he chooses this medium to do it in. So it gets dismissed. That's the word I was looking for. So people tend to dismiss it. Now, look, I don't have to read comic books the way a lot of other people do, where they're just one, distraction. They want fantasy to distract them from their humdrum lives. I'm not taking anything away from them, but you read books differently than I do. So for me, I'm looking for something. It's part of the reason why I continue to do this podcast with you, other than I just enjoy talking to you. And I have books on my shelf I have to read. Is it gives me an opportunity to look deeper into some things that might have been dismissed by the vast majority of people who read it because they weren't looking for meaning in these things. They were just looking for distraction. Well, I don't want to read the books that way. I want to find something to hang on to. And it's funny, you and I both have the same kind of anxiety about this podcast where, what are we going to talk about with some of these books? And let me tell you, had that part not been in there, that's where I would have landed. But I know that I can talk. I don't know if you've noticed this or not in the hour and 20 minutes we've been doing this, but I can talk a lot about the Hulk. When it came down to the Hercules stuff, if it wasn't for that bit, I wouldn't have anything to talk about.
Yeah. This next part that we're going to get into, it's going to be tough to. It's going to be tough
Almost to threw the book out the window.
It wasn't that bad, but I mean, like I said, I think Pack had an agenda here. He had a vision. So I'll finish this little part out. We'll get into the God
Squad. I have 2 words for you with my thoughts on the God Squad story.
Okay.
Baby Darkseid.
Oh, go boy. All right. So Hercules does talk Cho down. Cho shuts everything down. He shuts the virus down. But even then, everything still blows up around them. Now they're on the run again. I remember there's like missiles and stuff coming at them. And then after all that chaos, I think they end up hitchhiking. Like they're going to go to Athena's house.
Yep.
That's kind of like what we get. I think it's over in San Francisco. So Cho and Hercules. It is now a trip movie. What do they call that? A road trip movie. Road trip movie. Which actually, no, it's not, because they just basically get there. And then when they show up, though, Athena is. We got some events that are happening in the Marvel universe. One of which is a giant celestial, like standing outside the Golden Gate Bridge or something. Mm-hmm. And Athena is like telling them, hey, okay, just to kind of give you guys a heads up, we're getting into something bigger here. We are going to go to war, but it's not going to be human war. It's going to be God level war. And this is when we get the wild twist. Hercules, okay, there's an issue. This whole issue is the Eternals. 2 of the Eternals think that Hercules is actually Gilgamesh. And they're trying to awaken him. And what it comes down to is Makari just translated something wrong. This is not exactly the most exciting issue. It's just Hercules fighting some Eternals and then actually kind of questioning his origin. And then finally Makari is like, oh, my bad. You're actually fine. I just made a mistake. You're actually not Gilgamesh.
There's a great book that I read back in the days where I was smart and I used to read books called Misquoting Jesus.
Okay.
And it's about how the scribe, prior to the invention of the printing press, there was a job. Once they get a job replaced by AI, there were professional scribes.
Don't tell me they hallucinated something.
Close. To be a scribe, you had to know languages. Because you were translating Greek. You were translating, I think, Aramaic, Hebrew. You were translating different gospels, scrolls, tablets, whatever. And then you were transcribing them into whatever the native language was, presumably English in some cases. And those books would be kept in libraries or, whatnot. And eventually, I think it's after the formation of the Catholic Church. I might have this backwards, but let's go with it. After the formation of the Catholic Church, there's an editorial meeting that takes place where they construct the Bible. And
big editorial meeting. There's some heaviness here.
They work through lunch. They ordered takeout. But my point of bringing that up was the scribes didn't always have it right. Sometimes the scribes didn't quite know how to translate something, and because they didn't have an editor looking over their shoulders, they just took a guess. So a lot of the stuff, when you start dealing with like religious history and interpretation and a lot of like Bible scholarship, a lot of the arguments that take place are whether or not the interpretation or the translation is correct.
Correct. Right.
So if you're saying this is the word of God, but we don't even know if that's what was said in the original document, that's a huge issue.
Right.
If it would be like, in the Constitution says we have the right to arm bears, and somebody thinks bears is BEARS. It's a whole other translation, then, don't you think?
Right. And the thing is that, I mean, there's no bigger book than the Bible here, folks. I mean, people use this thing to justify a lot of their actions and a lot of their laws.
Right. And like I said, this was an editorial meeting, so a lot of gospels don't get included.
Right.
Gospel of Mary Magdalene, Gospel of Judas, there's all kinds of shit.
This is too long. We got it. There's got to be a few
doesn't
books.
jive with the story we'd like to tell here in the New Testament. So as we go.
Yeah.
And then stuff didn't get found until like years later. Like so like stuff that could have been in the Bible doesn't get found until we find like old burnt down libraries and shit like that. Or my point is that
for this throwaway Makari story.
Yeah. When he's just like, yeah, but because that's what I thought of. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jesse. I read that, and first thing I thought of was misquoting Jesus.
That's fine. That's perfect.
I know
fine.
It's a throwaway line. It's like a panel, but like,
it is great.
It's like I mistranslated this, and I'm like, I get you, Makari. I understand. So I read the book misquoting Jesus. This happens.
Celestials, by the way, I mean, they are pretty much one of the bigger godlike figures in the Marvel universe. So that's apt. I think that applies. I think that's fine.
Have so much fun with this later on. Did you just bring up misquoting Jesus in a Hercules book?
We did. All right. So anyway, Makari makes a mistake. We kind of move. Athena's like, okay, look. She ain't even paying attention to that. She's convening with all these other gods. Now, here's the deal. We're going into Secret Invasion, folks. It's Secret Invasion time. And what she wants to do, Athena has this plan to kill the Skrull gods because we know that the Skrulls are on Earth. Let's take out their belief system by killing the Skrull gods. So we're going to have this war between the God Squad, which give me a second, I'll make sure to list those here, and the Skrull gods, which we don't even know what the hell we're getting into there. So our God Squad, Hercules, Amadeus Cho, Snowbird, who is a name I recognize from Alpha Flight. I did not realize that she was a god.
Somewhere out there, I heard Chris Bailey cry. Tears of anguish.
Ajax, who I thought was an Eternal. Anyway, Ajax, Adam, and I'll spell that Atum, who is the Demogorge, the God Eater, not the God Butcher, God Eater, and then the God of Evil, which, if I want somebody on my side, Mikaboshi, the God of Evil, they all form the God Squad, and they are going to head into what is called the Skrull. It's called the Dream Time, which I think Mark's eyes are glazing over, but I'm gonna explain this to our listeners.
I'm also looking for something.
The Dream Time is a it's basically an ethereal plane that all beings have, and there's a Skrull dream time, there is a human dream time, whatever. But also, our first adventure into Dreamtime, after they get their ship, the God Squad are on the ship, and they run into Nightmare, the villain Nightmare, who starts playing with their minds.
So real quick, in May of 2019, we did Avengers Forever, we did Secret Invasion, Civil War 2, and World War Hulk.
Okay. Oh, wow. So,
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And that was 2019. So I think you were a part of all of these except for maybe World War Hulk because you had something else to do that particular Monday.
Yeah, it was a funeral. No, I'm just kidding. That funeral wasn't until a couple days later. That was that. I think shit. We did Metal Hammer of Doom, and that's when Dad passed away, and that was the 19th of May, and I think it was the following Monday.
Okay.
Anyway,
sorry, you did say that, and it escaped me. So I'm thinking, like, I don't know, like you take your daughter to college or something.
No. Not the case.
So 1,000 pardons.
You pardoned. I just want to ask real quick before we get into the rest of this. You like this psychological stuff, or do you want to get back to just punching people?
I fucking hated the God Squad story.
Okay. So we got before I know you want to go off on this. I'll finish this out. I'll let you have the final word on this so we can end the show. But let me finish out what happens in this thing. So they again, Nightmare gets a hold of them. He starts messing with their heads. And
actually, that's the only part I liked.
Yeah, because Hercules starts reliving everything that we've kind of already talked about. Cho's dealing with all this guilt. Everybody's kind of breaking down in their own way. They end up overcoming Nightmare in some way and escaping him. But this is where it becomes really like mythology, Hercules' story for sure. Not Hercules the brawler, but there's a lot of question about Hercules the leader. Like when he gets picked for this God Squad, I think it's Athena's like, you're going to lead them. And Hercules is like, I mean, he goes off, he like kicks a tree down. And he's pissed, and they're like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "I've never led anything in my life. I am not a leader." So he has this real like sense of doubt, trying to lead the God Squad. It comes up again during the thing, but things start to fracture amongst the team. It's not an easy team to lead, that's for sure. So Hercules has his, he has his challenges in front of him. You got conflicting personalities. You got Mikaboshi, who especially there's a mission that's way bigger than any of them. He's clearly not comfortable trying. Hercules is not comfortable trying to lead these people, these gods. And then things start to fall apart even more when Cho realizes he's manipulated because the damn the wolf that he's been bringing around is a Skrull. So Snowbird there's a huge fight. Snowbird gets in, the gods start fighting the Skrull gods. It's crazy. Snowbird sacrifices herself. Hercules is the one who has to keep moving forward, even though he's not sure that he's making the right call. And then we hit the big confrontation. The Skrull god Klyben, I'm going to call him Kly. There's apostrophe in there somewhere, BN. So I had to try to figure out like what a Skrull god was, and I fed everything in the chat GPT to give me an explain like I'm 5. What is the motivation of the Skrull god Klyben? Are you ready for this? So imagine a kid who sees everyone arguing over what game to play, and this is his Skrull, the people that believe in the Skrulls. And instead of letting the people choose what game they want to play, he says, no more arguments. We're all playing the same game forever. That's Klyben's vision.
That's
he's like
Bill Cosby.
Okay.
Doing the he's touching me bit.
All right. Explain yourself. I'm trying to remember exactly what you're talking about.
He's talking about like raising kids, and he's just like, my daughter comes in the room. He was touching me. Well, he was touching me first. And then you finally just snap as a parent and you go, nobody touches anybody in this house forever.
Yes.
Because you just want quiet.
That's right. That's what Clyburn wants, and his vision is to be like everybody in the universe.
So Clyburn is a stressed out middle-aged dad.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
got it.
There we go. Of course, he doesn't see himself as a villain in any way. He thinks he's saving people from chaos. He's preventing wars. He's creating a better universe, and that's why he kind of clashes with Hercules here, because Hercules feels, you look at Hercules, it's bad decisions. It's situations where, he's an individual. He makes mistakes. And Clyburn kind of looks at that and says, well, that's the problem, dude. You're the problem. I need to fix you and the rest of the people that follow your dumb ass. So yeah, we get a fight. Punch, 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 fighty, fighty, fight. All sorts of fun things happen. But I think the one big moment that comes out of this, there's two. Hercules feels more comfortable being a leader, even though he gets kind of usurped by Ajax at one point. But then he finally, he feels a little bit more comfortable leading the God Squad after this big fight with Clyburn, which of course they win. But there's also a moment where Amadeus Cho has to make a decision to do nothing. And this was kind of one of those things that Athena foretold, or somebody foretold something. I can't remember, but he was told, like, one of the hardest decisions you're going to have to make is not making a decision at all. And that's what led to Hercules basically thinking that everybody was dead and then fighting and beating Clyburn because he thought Cho was dead, because Cho just didn't do anything. He could have done something. And this is a kid that does stuff. Like, he cannot resist doing things. And in this situation, he decided not to do something, and it worked out for him. So I'm going to leave it to you here. I'm trying to think how we really ended things. I think, I forgot about Mikaboshi, and then I'll leave it and I'll turn it over to you. But after this is all said and done, I think a few of them are dead, but Mikaboshi's thought to be dead, but it turns out he has positioned himself to take the place of one of the Skrull gods. So the god of evil, or the human god of evil, or whatever, Japanese god of evil, I can't remember. Anyway, he's now positioned himself and did the old rope-a-dope, trick these guys into thinking that I'm not dead, actually, and now he's going to become a Skrull god. That's kind of where we end things. What are your thoughts, man? Yeah, I know you said you hated it. I mean, can you at least agree with me? Like, probably like the couple big moments was, Hercules believing everybody was dead, finding out that, a few of them were still alive. Cho was obviously still alive. And that Cho kind of grew by not doing anything. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. The most interesting stuff was Nightmare. And of course them having to do whenever you have to deal with a character who does psychological warfare based on things you fear.
Right.
So that stuff was fairly interesting. I was thinking a lot about actually, Nameless and Grant Morrison and, a lot of these books where, I brought up maybe Dark Side, just being me. But, obviously comic books draw people who are into fantasy, science, space fantasy. They're into really heady topics. And they're writing to an audience that likes that kind of thing. And it's not that I don't. It's more of I can see kind of fantasy gobbledygook when it's there. And while other people just like, I like the fantasy gobbledygook though. I don't really. I feel like this isn't for me, but I got to get through the book.
All right.
So I kind of push myself to. And I can kind of pick out small moments that keep me hooked in, but by and large, I'm not. The moment they went on that God Squad story, that book lost me.
Yeah, this is a question I probably should have asked at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Are you? My take is that you're not a mythology guy. Like, you probably weren't reading any mythology in high school or and enjoying it. I should say you might have been required to, but enjoying it's a different story.
Closest I came to reading mythology was reading 4 books.
Okay. All right. We're in the same we're in the same boat. I mean, and I think that's one of the
My
detriments.
my poor daughter, sweet Lily, loves Greek mythology, and every time she talks it up, you know how you notice where you and Robert have both caught me where I'm being polite, I'm trying to do what I wish other people would do with me and let you talk,
Mhm.
let you complete a thought, but you've completely lost me, and I'm trying to just be polite, but you can see the glaze go over my eyes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Same thing with her. She starts talking about either her Twisted Wonderland show or Greek mythology, and I'm and like no sale in my eyes. The lights are on, nobody's fucking home.
Uh yeah, we give a lot of we give a lot of grief to
Mhm.
some comics where you have to step in and you are kind of behind on continuity. Uh this is like thousands of years of continuity, like legitimately. You kind of got to know as Hercules as a character. Yeah, he's got himself a nice little Marvel lore to him, but also some of this stuff that 1277 BC and Thebes, whatever. And I'm like,
This
okay.
might as well have been Shredder in Hell.
Understand, you've got to kind of bring us back and make us understand what's going to happen in this book and why this guy suffered so much. It did do its due diligence in getting that information across, because I do know now some of the stuff that Hercules had, his 12 labors and all this other stuff, but it is tough to I'm right there with you. Like when it starts throwing me back to whatever BC and I'm like, oh, here we go. Everybody's going to talk like a freaking idiot. I'm going to have to read through this thing because I was right there, man. I kind of was like checking out. It was tough to get through these Hercules, and I don't know what the next bit is going to be like, but it's going to be 24 issues of this. I don't know how well that's going to taste. I'll just put it that way.
I
So
hope we get back to Hercules like drinking wine, fucking bitches, and like an Amadeus shows like Yogi. I don't think the Ranger's gonna like that. That would be more my speed.
it's a very good possibility we might. I mean,
Mm.
Cho, Pack might be like, okay, I've got this story I want to tell. God Squad, okay, we got to tie this in with Secret Invasion, which we still have to finish that out. Like, I think either the conclusion of the Secret Invasion God Squad stuff is still, a couple issues from now where we're ending this tonight. Regardless, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I want them to come back and be like, okay, it's Amadeus and Hercules kind of on the run and getting into some misadventures. We'll see how that goes, but man, I really hope it's not a bunch of like the strong parts of this book is understanding Hercules' character, and I think there's a lot of commentary about being a monster, being perceived as the monster, and not actually being the monster. Both Cho, Hercules, and the Hulk go through all of that. There is redemption in the mistakes that you've made in the past, and also use that to try and learn and listen to your elders to try to learn not to make the same mistakes that they did. So I think that's like the core theme of the book, but yeah, I hope that we don't have a whole lot of more of the mythology stuff, but it's Hercules, man. I don't think we could get away from it. I'm really curious what the next 24 issues is going to bring. So I'll leave it to you. Final thoughts on what we covered so far all together, and we'll get into plugs.
Isn't it funny that the Superman book we read last year, All Star Superman, is more Hercules than Hercules?
Oh, well.
The 12 Labors of Superman.
Yeah, that's funny. That is interesting. Oh man.
All right. I'm not unhappy we did this. I asked
we ain't done yet.
I asked you if we can kind of clear off my to be read shelf. You said yes. This is on it. You don't know what you got till you read it.
It's true.
And I'm happy to take this journey. It's not terrible. I just wasn't interested in the God Squad stuff. Like I wasn't interested in some parts of Batman, Fugitive, and Murder either. There was
a whole song about that.
Yes, sir. Peking Duck Batman. Going crazy like
Like a madman.
I just, I wanted to see what this was. Now I have, and I'm like, it's okay. I think my lasting impression of this Hercules book, there's a small little voice in the back of my head going, this is why you don't read Marvel with Jesse anymore. Like, I find the more we do the standard mainstream Marvel and DC stuff, the more I miss the Layla Starr books.
Right.
And when we get done with, with my dummy pile of books, and, we continue to do source material, I'm going to make more of an effort to try to bring back the independent books, because you also do a lot of Marvel and DC with your other friends.
Right.
So it's not like you're not going to get that with them. But I think I prefer the shows where we talk about stuff off the beaten path, as opposed to something like this, for two reasons. One, thinking back to the Layla Starr books, thinking back to some of the Grant Morrison stuff, whether I liked it or hated it, they were always really interesting, and they weren't written for children.
Right.
Like, the last thing I'm going to say is the Incredible Hercules reminded me that Marvel has and DC to a lesser extent, have a really tough job on their hands of trying to write books that appeal to 40-year-old men and 12-year-old boys.
You're right. You're right. It's tough to, back in the 60s and 70s, this was, we'll say 60s, because 70s we started to mature a little bit. But back in the 60s, it was like, you were writing these things for kids, and you can kind of slip in an adult message every once in a while to like, hey,
Well, the Comics Code forced them to.
Right. And but you also had, the comics had an opinion, some type of an agenda or something like that to, what is right in the world. Here's what we're going to show you is right. And then as the world, that as our teenagers or as these kids grew up, they wanted more mature stories. And you're right.
Girls are getting put in refrigerators. Ant-Man's slapping them around.
Marvel and DC have a line that they have to, kind of tread. And granted, they have their own, like, okay, we have a mature set of books. Here's our DC Black Label. But in like core books like this, where you don't know, hey, it's Ronnie Adams of the Screaming Boy podcast. I know it. And he's giving you a middle finger.
I was rude to him on Thursday. So
what did you do to him?
I called him a baby, and said he was having a tantrum, and he said, that is not the case. I'm not a baby, nor am I having a tantrum. I am contributing to your podcast. And
man, you got a middle finger.
And now he's giving me the finger.
It is not forgotten. What were you guys talking about?
Volcano, The Core, and Dante's Peak.
Oh, okay. Well, that was, those are. I need to listen to that. I've seen all three of those movies.
I will tell you this: it was not the New French Extreme.
The New French Extreme. Oh,
yes.
oh wait. What is that? What is a New French Extreme?
It's the genre of film where we were talking about Irreversible,
okay.
And
I knew it.
Trouble Every Day.
Anyway, to finish my sentence out, Marvel and DC now have to try to figure out, like in core books like this, what are they going to do? How are they going to make it? Is there
He froze and muted. Amazing. And there he goes. I suspect he'll be back in a moment. Hopefully. If not, I will do a rousing rendition of Peking Duck Batman. Peking Duck Batman, going crazy like a madman. Peking Duck Batman. Hi. Okay, well, Jesse turned into a pot of boiling water.
I'm getting a little upset here.
What's the matter, Jesse Gins?
Well, so we know that every time, like, we get close to ending the show, like, it'll just shut my camera down. and then for some reason my my microphone went away. I don't know what happened, but I'm not going to push the camera button because it'll kick me out again.
Okay.
Last two sentences that I was trying to get out there. Yes, Marvel and DC have a hard time or a hard job to try and make stuff for man babies and baby men. And yes, independent books are fun. That's like I was saying, Astro City is going to be right up your speed if you get an opportunity to listen to that, because maybe there are tons of Astro City books, and I think that if you ever feel like you want to talk about one, you might really, really enjoy it. So that's all I got to say. Are you ready to get out of here? You got some plugs?
Yeah, let me transition into a woman.
Oh, right here, first time on the podcast.
So another writer who tends to, try to find that line between writing for man babies and baby men, and just adults, is Greg Rucka, and he did this book called.
It was just a white page. Whiteout. That's funny.
Whiteout. Get it? Whiteout. So we're gonna do a comic strip on Whiteout Saturday. It'll be me, myself, and Evan Bevins. So the movie stars Kate Beckinsale. I finished the book today, and there's no fucking way that this was written for children. First of all, it's in black and white. But it's really funny that like a lot of the books that I do with Evan tend to not be written for children at all, other than Nimona, which was all very much a children's book. But like the what do you call it? Like Surrogates, Hercules, Whiteout, Road to Perdition. A lot of these were definitely written for adults.
What was the one where there was some stuff going on the steps, and I think
you're talking about No Country for Old Men?
No, it was the Viggo Mortensen History of Violence. Is that what it was?
That's what I meant. It was a history of violence.
Yeah. Not kid friendly.
No, sir. Yes, you're talking about the very long debate between Evan and I on the sexy scene on the staircase.
Right.
Yeah. It's a wonder Evan does podcasts with me at all. Anyway,
he was the one defending it, though, if I remember correctly. Like that was the big thing with him taking some, which is not Evan Bevan style, that's for sure.
Evan Simmons is no pansy.
He isn't.
He ain't no mamby-pamby. I like Evan. I like doing podcasts with him. I got a new job, so a new second job. So starting in June, I'm not gonna be able to record on Saturday, so I'll have to figure out something else to do, some other time to do with Evan, who is notoriously hard to schedule. But before all that, tomorrow we're doing a triple feature catch up. We're doing The Bluff, War Machine, and Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. On Thursday, hey Jesse, how have you been enjoying the newsroom?
I've got through 2 episodes. I'm about to cram the next 8 episodes in the next 4 days. So the first 2 episodes, let me tell you, number 1 enjoyable thing about the newsroom, Olivia Munn. And
buddy. I've forgotten how attractive Olivia Munn is.
Oh, gosh.
Hotsy-totsy.
Yeah. I got the fan going over here already.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I've so far I've enjoyed it. 2 episodes in, I'm sure there's a lot more that's going to be revealed. So I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I watched the newsroom when it came out initially on HBO, and I watched it weekly, and it's been fun to kind of watch it all at once. Definitely like binging it in 2 days. And after watching The West Wing, I'm much more hyper aware of Sorkinisms than I've ever been.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Than I was when I first watched the show. Well, like especially having watched all of The West Wing, all of Sports Night, and rewatching this again, but watching it all at once, I'm like, wow, I can now I could identify a Sorkinism in a lineup.
Yep, you can. It is not hard at all.
No, he has got a small bag of tricks.
Yes.
But I like the newsroom, and it'll be fun talking about it with you. The fact that you're not the most political person, just 2 episodes, but like
I was going to say, there wasn't much political intrigue here. I mean, there was a grant. I'll tell you what, that first monologue by Jeff Daniels character
the North when he has the breakdown at Northwestern.
I wanted to take that and post it on my Facebook feed.
Well, don't do it in front of Robert Winfrey, because then he'll remind you that Aaron Sorkin misread the spreadsheet.
Misread the spreadsheet?
Yeah, I'll talk about it on Thursday.
Okay.
And if I don't, Robert will shoot me. So,
all right.
But apparently, there's a lot of mistakes in that monologue because the spreadsheet was misinterpreted.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Yeah. But some of the stuff, I actually have ChatGPT break that down. Like, some of the stuff he said is dead on. Some of the stuff he said is a little incorrect. And I'll say what the character says. There's the whole second half of that speech when he's not complaining.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Nobody heard that, though.
But that's not the part anyone cares about.
Right.
They just care about him butt fucking America. Speaking of butt fucking America, on Thursday, that's the newsroom. Saturday is Whiteout with Evan Bevins. And then next week is our Damn You Hollywood for Mortal Kombat 2. And we'll be doing another series. It was a mini series, as a matter of fact. It's a sequel to Justified called Justified City Primeval. And then a week from Thursday, Jesse, oh my God, it's like the next 2 weeks. It's just all Jesse all the time. It'll be myself.
All the time, baby.
And then 2 interlopers, 2 intruders, Alexis Hana and Ben Cologne. And we will be talking Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
Wow, we're going to have 4 people on that show?
Yeah. You want me to jump off?
No. It's just it's going to be fun to actually not talk as much.
I say just mute Alexis the whole time.
Oh, of course you will. Of course.
That's all I got. What do you got?
Oh, so tomorrow we're celebrating. You know what tomorrow is? May the 4th be with you. Mark has soured. 10 years ago, would he have made that sound? I don't think he would have. He would have been all excited about the Force Awakens, probably. I don't know. Had it released at that point, or did it release? It released in May of 16.
What nonsense are you doing tomorrow? I can see it's a Star Wars book, but what SOTE?
Shadows of the Empire, baby. Shadows of the Empire. Do you remember anything about Shadows?
Wait. Shadows of the Empire is a book.
Not Dark Empire. Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, Shadows of the Empire is the in-between, is the novel that takes place between Empire and Return of the Jedi, where Luke and Leia are dealing with the Hutts and everything.
You're absolutely correct.
And they're trying they're on Boba Fett's tail, but he's just ahead of them. There's that's not a comic book, Jesse. That's a novel. Oh. It's a novel. And
Mark Radulich.
And it's I'm begging a shoe.
What? Sweet doe-eyed Mark Radulich.
It's not even canon. Kennedy said so. She said everything from the Del Rey Books era is legend. It's not canon.
That's right. So this is an Unspoken Issues, 90s comics all the time over there. Chris Armstrong, he wanted to talk about Shadows of the Empire. And yes, this is a comic book, Mark Radulich. This is a four issue Dark Horse comic. 4 issues. I think it was 4. No, it might have been 6. 6-issue Dark Horse comic. Now, here's the thing about Shadows of the Empire, Mark. You might have known this. I don't know. It's an
adaptation of the book, I would assume.
Oh, so did I. But did you? Now, you aren't the video game guy. I know that much. But do you remember Shadows of the Empire, the video game that came out for Nintendo 64?
I know it existed. I never had a Nintendo 64, so I never played it.
So let me explain to you what the vision was here. The vision was to have a book, a comic, a video game, and a soundtrack for Shadows of the Empire, telling a large overarching story. Shadows of the Empire, the comic, is about Boba Fett trying to get Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt, and Bosk and a bunch of other people, a bunch of other bounty hunters are trying to cash in and basically sabotage Boba Fett from getting there.
So it's an antecedent to the novel?
Yes. This is not going to be told in the novel. This is actually told in the comic. Now there is some stuff that's happening, like Prince Zizor, Prince Zizor's in there. There's some Leia stuff.
Prince Scissors, yes.
Yes, Prince Scissor me kindly. Scissor me gently.
Prince Scissor me timbers.
So Prince Zizor's in there.
I got one more. This is for all our AEW fans. Prince Scissor me daddy.
Anyway, so there is some Luke, Leia, Prince Zizor, Dash Rendar shows up in this. That happens, but it's mostly focused on Boba Fett, which it's good. It's good, and it tells some stuff about Luke too. So anyway, check that out. Yeah, 6 issues. It shows up tomorrow. We talk a little bit about the game. We talk a little bit about the soundtrack, and we talk about the vision that they had. So check that out. Shadows of the Empire. And then this is, I think, the first month or maybe the second month where I've decided that we're going to do like 3 weeks of source material back to back. And then I'll do unspoken issues to kind of finish out the month. Then we'll go back to source material.
Can you please put Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow the week either before or leading into the Supergirl movie?
Oh, yeah. That ain't going to be a problem. We'll make sure to do that.
Say the exact date, because you probably already have it like picked out or whatever. But yeah, you need to have it. Okay, where you have Drax, CM Punk 6-11, that's where Supergirl needs to be. Unless you're going to release 2 source materials, in which case
that's what I'll do.
Then do it. I would say do it on maybe the 21st.
So Sunday, the 21st?
Yeah.
Okay. When's the movie get released?
The 26th.
Okay. All right. So leading into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that then.
Okay.
Go ahead and copy that over. But yeah, so really all this month is pretty much going to be unspoken issues. Astro City takes place next week on the 11th. So that's 2 episodes, and we had a good time talking about Astro City. Really, really good book. Aside from that, check out, me and Evan are supposed to record tomorrow our Snap material. So we'll be talking about the new season, the old season, how Fin Fang Foom got FUCKED'd.
Oh my stars. Fin Fang Foom doesn't deserve that, Jesse.
Oh, it got pretty ugly. Yeah, so we'll probably mostly, I know Evan's going to be fired up. Like, he usually doesn't get fired up, but he's going to be fired up about a few things. So tune in to Snap material where we're talking Marvel Snap on that. So that's it. That's all I got, Mark Radowitz. Take us out of here.
All right. Well, this has been Source Material Live. This is Jesse's show. I'm just along for the ride. So for Jesse Starcher, who will cut me out of the show, I'm sure.
How did this become a 20-minute show? I don't understand.
Dog with a bone. Be well, be safe, and behave.